My fiancé is a reincarnated man. Yesterday, I overheard him telling his mother that I am the only child of the King of Li, lost among the common people, and he plans to have his white moonlight replace me to claim kinship. To this end, he feigned illness and refused to get up, bribing the doctor to say that he needed a dose of dragon's blood orchid to sustain his life. This herb grows on Black Dragon Cliff, and it's said that no one has ever come out of there alive. I left the jade pendant with him and walked away without looking back. He thought I was going to Black Dragon Cliff, but in fact, I headed straight for the capital. The jade pendant I gave him was a fake. I'm waiting in the capital for these two fools to fall into the trap. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. Yesterday, I had originally promised my fiancé Lu Mingyuan that I would go to Guoqing Temple to pray for him as soon as I woke up, but before leaving, I decided to first deliver the ginseng porridge I had gotten up in the middle of the night to prepare for him. My mother was an outsider who settled in Shuangqiao town and received much care from Lu Mingyuan's mother, Madame Zhong. When the Lu family's house caught fire, my mother rushed into the flames and rescued Madame Zhong. But she herself died from severe injuries. Madame Zhong, grateful for my mother's life-saving act, arranged the marriage between me and Lu Mingyuan. Although the Lu family was a declining scholarly household, they were still far better off than me, an orphaned daughter of a merchant family. I am truly fortunate to have this marriage. Early in the morning, I entered the Lu family's residence through the side gate, carrying a pot of porridge. Lady Zhong was extremely pleased with me. Since my wedding with Lu Mingyuan was approaching, and to make it convenient for me to come and go to care for the seriously ill Lu Mingyuan, she gave me the key to this side gate. This side gate leads directly to Lu Mingyuan's courtyard. Afraid of disturbing him, I tiptoed toward the small kitchen, intending to leave after setting down the ginseng porridge. As I passed by Lu Mingyuan's room, I heard murmuring voices inside, occasionally mixed with Zhong's low growls of frustration. Fearing that the mother and son might argue and worsen Lu Mingyuan's condition, I quickly went to push the door open, ready to mediate. However, just as my hand was about to touch the door, I suddenly heard my name mentioned and immediately pulled back. I never liked Shen Qingli. It was all your doing. From start to finish, I've only ever liked Cici. I was completely stunned. Lu Mingyuan never said he had someone in his heart, otherwise, I wouldn't have agreed to this marriage. No wonder he was always lukewarm toward me. I thought he was just too bookish and overly concerned with propriety between men and women. Turns out he simply doesn't like me. It would be a lie to say it doesn't hurt. Throughout the age of budding affection, Lu Mingyuan was my only fantasy. I imagined watching the clouds roll by with him, grinding ink and writing together, listening to music while sipping tea, and even raising children together. I just never imagined that he had someone else in his heart, that he didn't like me. My chest felt as if pierced by 1,000 needles, the dense, sharp pain making it hard to breathe. In the room, Lady Zhong was furious, her voice instantly rising. I think you've lost your mind. Liu Cici is a courtesan from a brothel. What is there to like about her? Lu Mingyuan, Cici only sells her art, not her body. Lady Zhong, how clean can a woman from such a place be? How can she compare to Qingli? In short, as long as I can still breathe, Liu Cici will never set foot in the Lu family's door. Oh, so she's a courtesan. Although I never expected Lu Mingyuan to fall in love with me before marriage, I never imagined that in his eyes, I would be less worthy than a courtesan. I turned to leave when I suddenly heard Lu Mingyuan soften his voice and say, "Mother, what if Cici is a princess who has fallen into common life? Would you still approve of our marriage?" Without hesitation, Madame Zhong replied, "Why even ask? Marrying a princess would be a stroke of incredible luck for the Lu family, a blessing from our ancestors." Lu Mingyuan was utterly pleased with himself and revealed everything. "Mother, don't be shocked when I tell you this. I'm actually reborn. Let me tell you. Shen Qingli is the only child of Prince Li who was lost among the common people. She has a jade pendant, and as long as Cici takes that pendant to the capital to find Prince Li, he will definitely recognize her as his daughter. Then why don't you just marry Qingli?" Lady Zhong asked, puzzled. Lu Mingyuan, I can't. In my past life, I married her and was constantly lectured by her father, enduring a lifetime of humiliation. Given a second chance, I will only marry my beloved Cici. Mother, please don't push me into the fire pit again. Hearing that her son had suffered in his past life, Lady Zhong no longer insisted on him marrying me. Instead, she began to worry for Liu Cici. "But if you let Liu Cici take Qingli's jade pendant to claim kinship, aren't you afraid Qingli will expose her once she finds out?" Lu Mingyuan smiled triumphantly. That's exactly why I need to pretend to be sick. You rascal, you were actually faking it. Zhong's voice scolded her son from inside the room. How dare you even deceive your own mother? Lu Mingyuan quickly apologized. If I couldn't fool you, how could I possibly fool Shen Qingli? She's a sharp one. Zhong let out a sigh. Then tell me, why did you pretend to be sick? Lu Mingyuan, of course, it was to lure Shen Qingli to Black Dragon Cliff. Madame Zhong gasped. No one has ever come out of that place alive. Isn't that a bit too cruel? After all, her mother once saved me. How about we set a trap to ruin her virtue and then push her to hang herself? At least leaving her body intact would be a way to repay her mother. I nearly gritted my teeth to dust, holding back the urge to burst in and curse at them. Lu Mingyuan, no, it'd be such bad luck to have her die at home. That 3-courtyard house of hers could still fetch a good price. Madame Zhong agreed. Alright then, I'll follow your plan. You'll need to act convincingly. And I'll arrange for the doctor to exaggerate the severity of the situation. That foolish girl Qingli will surely sneak off to Black Dragon Cliff without a word to us. I couldn't bear to listen any longer, so I grabbed the porridge and quickly slipped out through the side door. Once I was out of the Lu residence, I stormed through 5 alleys in one breath before my emotions finally settled. My first instinct was to head straight to the capital to find my birth father and have him deal with that viperous mother and son pair from the Lu family. But on second thought, cutting the knot with a swift blade would be too easy on them. Only a slow, agonizing punishment would truly satisfy my burning hatred. I decided to go to Guoqing Temple as planned. Prayers required chanting sutras overnight in the temple. Had I not heard those filthy words, I would have done exactly that. But now, I only spent the night in the meditation room crafting a remarkably convincing fake jade pendant. The next day, I descended the mountain and headed straight to the Lu family's residence. Lu Mingyuan's room was already set with the elderly doctor in place for the scene. Seeing me enter, the old doctor began to sigh, while Lady Zhong wiped away non-existent tears beside him. Lu Mingyuan, with a headband wrapped around his forehead, leaned weakly against the head of the bed. Qingli, come here, for once. Lu Mingyuan took the initiative to beckon me over. I obediently stood in front of the bed. Lu Mingyuan half opened his eyes to look at me. Qingli, no matter how my mother begs you, you must not agree to her, remember. I pretended to be confused and looked at Lady Zhong. Auntie, what exactly is going on? Lady Zhong opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but after glancing at her son, she just sighed heavily. Qingli, it's better if you don't ask. It must be said that Zhong had indeed put in some effort in acting, with every expression and movement perfectly executed. The old doctor we invited had an even stronger desire to perform. Directly signaling with his eyes for me to speak outside, I hastily made up an excuse to leave the room, and the Lu mother and son were more than happy to let me go, not even offering a half-hearted attempt to stop me. The old doctor met me behind the rockery and sighed as soon as he saw me. Miss, your fiancé is in a very bad state. I quickly cooperated by clutching my chest. Doctor, just say it straight, I can take it, seeing how well I was playing along. The old doctor immediately changed his tone. Actually, there might still be a way to save your fiancé's life. Please, tell me. I was truly impatient. The old man's introduction was too long, and he took forever to get to the point. I was afraid I couldn't keep my emotions fully charged the whole time. I'm just afraid you won't be able to do it, young lady. The old man started beating around the bush again. I quickly reassured him. Even if I have to climb a mountain of swords or cross a sea of fire, I'd gladly trade my life for his. Please, doctor, show me the way. The old man nodded with satisfaction and finally got to the point. As long as you can obtain the dragon's blood orchid, your fiancé can be saved. I asked urgently. Where can I find it? The old man, you might not like it if I tell you. I gritted my teeth and said, speak. The old man, seeing my eyes redden, thought I was genuinely moved. Black Dragon Cliff, only there. Before he could finish his words, I had already rushed back to Lu Mingyuan's room like a whirlwind. Auntie, I need to be away for a few days. Please take good care of Mingyuan during this time. With that, I bowed and turned to leave. Qingli, Lu Mingyuan called out to me in a frantic hurry. I turned around, and his gaze was fixed intently on the jade pendant at my waist. Where are you going? Naturally. I wouldn't tell him that I was heading to the capital to claim my birth father and intercept him and his white moonlight. Oh, it's a girl's matter. You shouldn't ask too much. Zhongsha jumped in to smooth things over, as if afraid I would mention the name Black Dragon Cliff. Seeing that I wasn't being considerate enough, Lu Mingyuan had to speak up himself. Since you'll be away for a few days, could you leave your jade pendant with me? I'm not used to not seeing you for a day. I had long been eager to offer it to him myself, but I was afraid that moving too fast would arouse his suspicion. Seeing him finally speak up, I promptly took off my artificially aged jade pendant and placed it by his pillow. Seeing the jade is like seeing me, Mingyuan. Let this jade keep you company for a few days. You'll get better soon. Believe me, I believe you. Lu Mingyuan struggled to hold back a laugh. Come back early and be careful on the road, after all the hypocrisy. I left the Lu family. I went home to pack up, entrusted the house to Nanny Wu, who had taken care of me since I was a child, and headed toward Black Dragon Cliff. Might as well go all the way with the act. Once I was far from the town, I boarded the carriage I had rented in advance and headed north. To reach the Prince of Li's mansion before Lu Mingyuan and Liu Cixi, I traveled day and night without rest. Upon arriving in the capital, instead of heading directly to the Prince of Li's residence, I spent some money to inquire about his favorite leisure spots. I learned that he visits the Shuyan Pavilion every 2 days to enjoy music and tea, and coincidentally, today was one of those days. I immediately rushed over. Perhaps it was fate. I had just changed into men's clothing and settled in the shop when a carriage bearing the character Li pulled up at the entrance of the Shuyan Pavilion. A middle-aged man with an overwhelming aura stepped down from the carriage, tall and well-built. With regular features, he remained strikingly handsome even in middle age. However, a deep furrow between his brows formed a distinct character, making him appear unapproachable. The shop owner and the waiter immediately rushed over, bowing and scraping as they addressed him as Your Highness. I sat quietly, and after confirming he had entered the private room, I slowly made my way over. 2 guards blocked me with their swords, preventing me from getting closer. I handed them 2 pouches of silver. Trouble you both, just show this jade pendant to the prince for a look. I won't make things difficult for you, brothers. The silver pouches were heavy, and the request was so simple that the 2 men immediately agreed. One continued to keep watch over me, while the other took my jade pendant and entered the private room. Before long, the guard came out and respectfully invited me in. Inside the private room, King Li sat imposingly. To those who knew, he was there to listen to music and savor tea. To those who didn't, it might have seemed as if he were overseeing an execution. Father, as soon as I entered, I knelt down, tearfully introducing myself. Your child is Shen Qingli. My mother is Shen Yukai, from Meishi Town. I am 18 years old, and my birthday is on the 16th of May. Yukai. My father slapped the table and stood up, his hands trembling with excitement. Is your mother outside? Seeing him like this, he must have been deeply in love with my mother, and probably couldn't bear the news of her death. I shrank my neck and secretly moved my knees back. My mother has passed away. Passed away. My father was thunderstruck, instantly feeling as if struck by lightning. When did it happen? 5 years ago. I quietly took 2 more steps back, stopping at a distance where he couldn't reach me with his drawn sword. There was a fire at my neighbor's house. My mother saved the neighbor's wife, but she herself was severely injured and didn't survive. Did you send the woman she saved to be buried with her? My father gritted his teeth, his eyes turning red. I trembled and whispered in reply, how would I dare? Slap. My father slammed the table and sat back imposingly. You, a noble princess, what wouldn't you dare? Me, I just didn't know beforehand, that's all. Seeing me shrinking back like a quail, my father finally realized I was still kneeling. He quickly helped me up and affectionately patted my head. You're exactly like your mother. Before the words were finished, tears streamed down. I've been searching for your mother for 18 years. She's so heartless, refusing to come back to see me even in death. A chill ran through my heart. For a woman as gentle as my mother to never want to see someone again in her entire life. Unless, father, did you do something to wrong my mother? My voice unconsciously turned sharp. If I had a knife in hand, it would definitely be pressed against that scumbag father's neck. I didn't, my father retorted loudly, then slumped in dejection. I just brought a pregnant woman back to the mansion. Before my father could finish, I grabbed a teacup and splashed it directly in his face. This is for my mother. You don't deserve to be my father. I turned to leave, but my father grabbed me tightly. Why are you as stubborn as your mother? Can't you just listen to your father properly? I shook off his hand and sat down boldly, imitating his posture. Fine. Speak. My father sighed heavily, humbly poured me a cup of tea, and pushed it toward me. General Qin died saving my life. His widow was pregnant and had no other relatives. I couldn't just abandon her. I thought it was just a matter of adding 2 more mouths to feed. The manor could certainly afford it, so I brought them back with me. And then, every time you were with my mother, that woman would complain of stomachaches, headaches, chest pains, toothaches, basically every kind of pain, and she'd send for you. Day or night? Right, I demanded sharply. My father nodded blankly. How did you know? Did your mother tell you? I rolled my eyes at him. In your dreams? My mother has never mentioned you. My father's shoulders slumped immediately, and he kept wiping away his tears. After your mother passed away, I realized how foolish I was. I thought I was repaying a kindness, but in reality, I was tricked by that woman, making your mother mistakenly believe I had improper thoughts about her. I was utterly foolish. My father raised his hand and slapped himself twice. He truly hated himself, not holding back at all, and 2 handprints immediately appeared on his face. After discovering your mother had left, I immediately sent General Chen's widow away that very day, but your mother never returned. Go to her grave when you have time and apologize to her in person. Whether she forgives you or not is up to her. I sighed, too tired to comfort him. Besides reconnecting with you today, I also have something important to ask for your help with. My father immediately wiped his tears with his sleeve. Don't worry, I will help you to the end. Don't even mention that you are my father. My father grew anxious. I may have wronged your mother, but you are my only child, you cannot deny me. I raised my hand and pressed it down, signaling him to calm down. Then, I told him all about Lu Mingyuan's scheme that I had overheard. After hearing this, my father suddenly drew his machete. You bastard, how dare you scheme against my daughter? Wait here, I'll go cut off his head for you to kick around like a football. Seeing me flinch back in fear, my father quickly forced a smile, sheathed his knife, and awkwardly comforted me. Don't worry, my dear daughter. When they come pretending to be you, I'll cut them down one by one for you to see. Don't. I quickly made a stopping gesture. Not only can you not kill her, but you must also subtly acknowledge that Liu Cixi. My father was taken aback for a moment, then suddenly grinned slyly. My dear daughter. Trying to catch a turtle in a jar. Exactly, I whispered, outlining my rough plan to him. After hearing it, both father and daughter let out a mischievous chuckle together. My father found a master of disguise, who made me a flawless human skin mask. Thus, a fair-faced guard appeared at the gate of Prince Li's mansion. Although this guard was the smallest in stature, he held the greatest authority. Everyone in Prince Li's mansion, including the prince himself, had to obey this guard. My father called me Ruian, saying it was one of the names he had chosen for the child when my mother was pregnant. 3 days later, Lu Mingyuan and Liu Cixi appeared in front of Prince Li's mansion. Normally, it would take at least 10 to 15 days to travel from our town of Shuangqiao to the capital. They must have rushed here in a hurry, afraid that delays might bring trouble. As soon as the two appeared, I perked up, having been bored for days. I handed the sunflower seeds I was holding to the nanny who kept feeding me, grabbed the ruler I hadn't let go of these past few days, and stood up. Signaling to the proper guards with my eyes, everyone understood and immediately got into position, ready for action. Lu Mingyuan took a chicken feather as a command arrow, strutting over with an air of arrogance, and shouted at us, "Hey, you lot! Go quickly and inform Prince Li that his own daughter has come to acknowledge her kinship." As soon as he finished speaking, I picked up the ruler and struck him hard across the face. What do you think you are? How dare you come to Prince Li's mansion and start giving orders? I then backhanded him across the other cheek and kicked him in the groin. Idiot! Do you have any idea how many fools come here every year claiming to be relatives? This time it's really true. Lu Mingyuan clutched his groin, gasping in pain but still managing to point at Liu Cixi, who had long since hidden behind the hitching post. She really is Prince Li's biological daughter. I gave a slight nod. And the guards immediately began to beat Lu Mingyuan fiercely. Fool, every person who comes to claim kinship says they're the real one. Don't you have anything more original to say? Nanny Jiang, who never leaves my side, quickly handed me back the leftover melon seeds I had been eating. I cracked a seed as I walked towards Liu Cixi. Didn't you come to claim kinship? Why are you hiding? Step forward and let me see if you resemble our prince or princess. Liu Cixi stepped out from behind the hitching post, trying to overpower me with her imposing manner. How dare you? How dare you not kneel when you see this princess? I kicked out, and she stumbled to the side, her temple hitting the hitching post, immediately breaking the skin and drawing blood. Liu Cixi reached up and touched the blood. Completely losing control, she pointed at me and cursed, "You lowly gatekeeper, how dare you strike a princess? Your whole family better prepare to meet their end. I'll have my father the prince behead every last one of you." As she spoke, she desperately tried to rush into the prince's mansion. The guards stood in a row, their long blades blocking her path. She screamed in fear and stepped back. "Step aside. I am the princess. I order all of you to step aside." She held up the fake jade token I had made, See this, I am the real princess. The guards only obeyed me and paid her no heed. I stepped forward and struck her mouth with the ruler, and only then did she quiet down. Get them out of here. I was tired from the fight and ordered the guards to drag the two away and throw them far off. Unwilling to give up, they took the same approach as I did and went to the Shuyan pavilion the next day to try to meet my father. But my father was holed up in the emperor's hot spring retreat and didn't dare to step out without my orders. On the third day, Lu Mingyuan and Liu Cixi had no choice but to come again to the gate of Prince Li's residence to request an audience. This time, they had learned their lesson and respectfully bowed to me as soon as they saw me. Sir, could you do us a favor and help us get a message through? As Lu Mingyuan spoke, Liu Cixi handed me a small piece of silver. It was just a small amount. So I casually tossed it to another guard. I raised my wolf-tooth club and struck at the two of them, daring to bribe me. You're asking for death. Lu Mingyuan quickly shielded Liu Cixi and ran. I chased after the two and beat them fiercely until my arms grew sore, then I finally stopped. Lu Mingyuan and Liu Cixi were bruised and swollen, furious but not daring to speak out, and they left supporting each other. For the next few days, the two of them did not show up again. The guards I sent to keep watch came back to report that Liu Cixi couldn't handle the beating and had developed a fever, crying out that she wanted to return to Shuangqiao town and refusing to acknowledge this unlucky kinship, afraid that it might affect the subsequent arrangements. I urged my father to return to the estate and had someone spread the word to those two cowards. At the entrance of the Prince Li's mansion, as soon as my father stepped down from the carriage, Liu Cixi suddenly rushed out, screaming through the guards, "Father, father, I am your biological daughter, Shen Qingli." She held the jade pendant high, kneeling on the ground. This was left to me by my mother. Her name was Shen Lingshuang. I'm 18 years old, and my birthday is the 16th of May. She only knew the false name my mother used after settling in Shuangqiao town, but even so, if I hadn't come forward to claim kinship in advance, she could still have deceived my father with the jade pendant and the accurate birth details. After all, my father would have thought my mother hated him to the core, not even bothering to tell her child her real name to avoid questions about who the biological father was. My father and I exchanged a knowing glance, both seeing the excitement of a catch in each other's eyes. My father walked over, picked up the jade pendant in Liu Cixi's hand, glanced at it, then turned to give me a look of disdain. "This is what you call lifelike? It's a piece of crap." I widened my eyes slightly. "The original piece you made yourself is a piece of crap." My father, knowing he was in the wrong, turned back, cleared his throat, and asked Liu Cixi, "What did you say your name was just now?" Liu Cixi was beaten several times before finally meeting my living father. Overwhelmed with emotion, she burst into tears and said, "My name is Qingli. I temporarily went by my mother's surname, Shen, before, changed the name." My father frowned impatiently. I shot him a warning look to stay in character, and he reluctantly softened his tone. "What I mean is, since you've come to acknowledge your family ties, you should take my surname." How about Xiao Xiao?" "Xiao Xiao sounds like petty villain." My father still isn't steady enough. I had to nudge him with my elbow, but he thought his performance was stable and ignored me. Liu Cixi. "Of course," agreed. "Thank you, father. I like the name Xiao Xiao, but mother used to call me Cixi when she was alive. I hope you can call me that too. I'm sure mother would be pleased." Wow, she's pulling the moral card now. Too bad my father has no morals. He waved his hand impatiently. "Your mother is so meddlesome. I'll call you whatever I like, whether she likes it or not." The your mother he referred to was, of course, Liu Cixi's birth mother. Liu Cixi was intimidated by my father's imposing manner and didn't dare to push her luck further. "Your daughter will obey whatever father says." But even so, my father still only addressed her with a "Hey, hey, who is this kid to you?" My father glared fiercely at Lu Mingyuan, as if he wished to cut off his head with a single stroke of his blade. Lu Mingyuan bowed with fear and trepidation. "This humble junior, Lu, I didn't ask you." My father interrupted him roughly, turning to Liu Cixi. "You speak." Liu Cixi shyly presented the marriage certificate. "Father, he is my fiancé, Lu Mingyuan." My father snatched the marriage certificate and tore it to pieces in a few swift motions. "This marriage wasn't approved by me, so it doesn't count." Then he kicked Lu Mingyuan to the ground. "Take a good look at yourself. How dare you even dream of marrying my daughter?" "Pa." Liu Cixi rushed forward, trying to help Lu Mingyuan up. I gave the guards a signal, and they immediately stepped in to block Liu Cixi, preventing her from getting close to Lu Mingyuan. "Hey, you are my daughter, Xiao Yang, a noble princess. How can you be seen pulling and tugging with a lowly man? What kind of behavior is this?" My father glared at Liu Cixi, his beard bristling with anger. Guards, take the princess inside and attend to her properly. Have the matrons teach her how to behave like a proper princess. Two strong matrons immediately came over and dragged Liu Cixi into the mansion, half pulling and half carrying her. Lu Mingyuan was dumbfounded and kept kowtowing to my father. I beg for your mercy, Prince Li. Cixi and I have been deeply in love for years, and we have already consummated our relationship on the way to the capital. I beg you to grant us your blessing, unlucky wretch. How dare you lay a hand on my daughter? My father drew his sword and charged at Lu Mingyuan, frightened. I quickly grabbed his arm, twisting it desperately, and whispered a warning, don't go crazy. My father snapped back to his senses and reluctantly sheathed his sword. Forget it, let's settle this kid in the side courtyard first. Liu Cixi was assigned to the small side courtyard where the late General Qin's widow had previously lived. She was very dissatisfied and said she would ask my father to exchange it for a larger courtyard. The matron ignored her, tossed her 2 sets of spare clothes, and left without even assigning her a maid. Liu Cixi refused to accept this and wanted to go find my father to argue her case, but as soon as she reached the gate, she was stopped by the guards and not allowed to leave. She scolded the guard, accusing him of disrespecting his superior. The guard replied expressionlessly, King Li has not yet verified your identity. You are not the princess yet. Liu Cixi had no choice but to wait idly. I ordered that she be given only a cup of water and 1 steamed bun each day. After being left out for 3 days, Liu Cixi couldn't stand it anymore and slit her wrist to force the guards to bring her to see my father. The guards had no choice but to bring her. My father scolded her, your body is a gift from your parents. How dare you cut your own hand without my permission? Someone, bandage her up and then give her 20 strokes of the rod. No, father, I was wrong, please spare me. No matter how Liu Cixi begged for mercy, the 20 strokes were still delivered thoroughly. After that, Liu Cixi lay in bed for a full half-month before she could barely manage to walk. During this time, I happened to go to the other courtyard to deal with Lu Mingyuan. He was also confined, with only a cup of water and 1 steamed bun per day. 3 days later, he was already weak and listless. Seeing me appear, he immediately bowed humbly toward me. May I ask, young master, has King Li agreed to my marriage with the princess? I lashed him with my whip. Shameless scoundrel, you're just a commoner. How could you possibly be worthy of our princess? Lu Mingyuan swallowed his anger and forced a smile. I have indeed shared a bed with the princess. I lashed out with another whip. Slandering the princess is an even greater offense. Lu Mingyuan dared not say another word, cautiously making amends. Then, could I trouble you, young master, to pass a message to Cixi for me? Speak. I stared coldly at the disheveled Lu Mingyuan, unable to understand how my younger self, just discovering love, could have fallen for such a deceitful villain. Lu Mingyuan bowed deeply. Please, young master, help me tell Cixi that Liu swears he will marry no one but her in this lifetime, and ask her not to forget the moon-embracing bridge. Liu Cixi's Wanhua pavilion was right by the moon-embracing bridge. Lu Mingyuan was warning her not to forget him after gaining benefits. Alright, I'll definitely pass on your message. I walked a long way, and Lu Mingyuan was still bowing, not daring to straighten up. I did deliver the message to him, but it was of no damn use. Because I planned to send Liu Cixi to the palace to broaden her horizons, I had someone dress Liu Cixi up, and my father took her to the palace for the evening banquet. The emperor and empress both knew Liu Cixi was an imposter. But compared to my father, their acting was incredibly smooth. The emperor rewarded Liu Cixi with many valuable items on the spot, and the empress said she would host a separate banquet to formally recognize her. A sudden windfall of wealth descended upon Liu Cixi, completely disorienting her, making her forget the scoundrel by the moon-embracing bridge entirely. A few days later, the family recognition banquet was held at the prince's mansion, with the empress herself in attendance. Giving Liu Cixi all the face she could ask for, at the banquet, Liu Cixi was in high spirits, flitting about among the young masters of noble families like a social butterfly. Cixi, have you taken a liking to any of the young masters? I shall arrange a marriage for you today, the empress said, waving her jade-handled fan, her eyes full of affection as she looked at Liu Cixi. The acting was flawless. Liu Cixi blushed, her gaze wandering among the most handsome heirs of the ducal and marquis households. Finally, she approached the empress, covering her face with a fan, and whispered the name of the heir she favored. The empress smiled and nodded, ordering someone to bring the phoenix seal, intending to issue the decree on the spot. I had long since had Lu Mingyuan brought and confined in the attic, forcing him to watch the entire process of how Liu Cixi flirted with the young masters from noble families. Lu Mingyuan's face was ashen, the veins in his neck and temples bulging. Seeing that the timing was about right, I had him released. As soon as he was out, he risked the danger of being beheaded by kneeling before the Empress. "I beg your Majesty to see the truth. Cixi and I have long been engaged, and she is already." He hadn't even finished speaking when Liu Cixi slapped him across the face. This action was rather unexpected to me. After being struck, Lu Mingyuan stared blankly at Liu Cixi. "Cixi, you hit me, don't call me so affectionately." Liu Cixi stepped back and knelt before the Empress as well. "Your Majesty, this man is a shameless scoundrel. My mother died saving his mother, and when I was left an orphan, they forced me to become engaged to this despicable man, threatening not to allow my mother to be buried in the family cemetery otherwise." Liu Cixi, in his desperation, Lu Mingyuan blurted out Liu Cixi's real name. Liu Cixi seemed to have been prepared all along. Not even batting an eyelid. "Your Highness, you see, this is how he threatens me." Liu Cixi is a courtesan from the town's pleasure house. Lu Mingyuan threatened that if I dared to break off our engagement after acknowledging my true identity, he would slander me as a fake princess and rally everyone in town to label me as that courtesan. "How dare you?" The Empress, after all, was someone who had weathered many storms, while I was still stunned by Liu Cixi's sudden twist. She immediately unleashed her imperial authority. To bully the princess to such an extent, this is nothing short of defying the imperial court. As soon as Lu Mingyuan heard this, he knew disaster was imminent. In a frantic panic, he cried out in protest, "Cixi, I was wrong, I should have known my place. The gap between us is as vast as the clouds and the mud. I never should have overreached, but I truly didn't do what you're accusing me of. I beg your Majesty to see the truth." The Empress glanced at me, and I shook my head slightly, signaling her to spare Lu Mingyuan for now. The Empress went along with it and sighed, "Forget it, I'm old now and won't meddle in the grudges and grievances of you young people." Seeing that the Empress seemed inclined to let Lu Mingyuan off, Liu Cixi grew anxious and said, "Your Majesty, this man cannot be spared." Lu Mingyuan glared at Liu Cixi resentfully, hardly believing his ears. "Her Majesty has already said she won't interfere." "Princess, please watch your words," I whispered a reminder beside Liu Cixi. She had been intimidated by my previous strikes and knew I was the most favored guard before the fierce king. Seeing that I had spoken up, she dared not continue pressing the Empress to take Lu Mingyuan's life. But she was clearly impatient for results, and when she spoke again, it was to urge the Empress to continue the unfinished decree. The Queen and I exchanged a glance, tacitly avoiding each other's eyes. She whispered a few words to the eunuch from the document office who followed her, and he immediately wrote a few lines on the imperial decree. Then, the Queen personally affixed the Phoenix seal. Once the decree was drafted, the managing eunuch announced it on the spot. "By the grace of the Empress Dowager, it is decreed that Xiao Xiao, daughter of Prince Jing Xiaoyang, known for her intelligence and virtue, and Qin Huai, son of the late General Zhenbei, Duke Qin, a descendant of loyalty and bravery, are a match made in heaven. Their marriage is hereby ordained. All ceremonial matters shall be handled by the Ministry of Rites and the Imperial Astronomical Bureau in accordance with the regulations. So it is decreed. Qin Huai is the son of that drama queen Lady Qin, who caused my mother to run away from home back in the day. He is a natural-born jinx, the scourge in the mouths of the common folk. Neither mother nor son was invited today, and Liu Cixi had no idea what Qin Huai looked like. Upon first hearing that the Empress had not chosen the Marquis's heir she favored, Liu Cixi was quite shocked. However, considering it was the Empress's decree and the match was with the son of the late general of the northern garrison, she thought it couldn't be too far off the mark, so she accepted the edict with some delight. This was already a bargain for her. Originally, on the way to the capital, I had planned to send her off to a barbaric small country for a political marriage, but after hearing about how Lady Qin had angered my mother, I changed my mind. Especially after learning that Qin Huai was a troublemaker who was quick to resort to violence, I became even more determined to have her marry him. With Liu Cixi's marriage settled, I managed to get a share of the benefits from the family reunion, and I also ended up hitting her many times for no reason. Lu Mingyuan's gaze was so sinister it sent chills down one's spine. I was more than happy to see this. Liu Cixi's wedding arrangements were entirely handled by the Ministry of Rites. The Imperial Astronomy Bureau and the Ministry of Internal Affairs. All she had to do was eat, drink, and enjoy herself while waiting for the Qin family to come and fetch her. On the day of her wedding, the Master of Disguise gave me another face. I went to the Qin family as the dowry maid, accompanying the queen. During the wedding ceremony, everything proceeded normally because the royal family was present, but on the wedding night, the Qin household was thrown into chaos. Although Qin Huai was known for his savage nature, he wasn't foolish. Liu Cixi and Lu Mingyuan had already consummated their relationship, and when she tried to deceive him with chicken blood prepared in advance on the bedsheet, he caught her red-handed. Immediately, he gave Liu Cixi a severe beating. Naturally, this was not without my contribution. I specifically had someone instruct Qin Huai on how to determine whether the bride was a virgin on her wedding night and how to prevent her from cheating. I listened outside the door the entire time, without my orders. The maids and servants accompanying the bride dared not take any action. It wasn't until Liu Cixi's cries for help could no longer be heard that I ordered people to rush in and save her, to avoid being accidentally harmed by Qin Huai. I not only wore soft armor but also had 8 guards disguised as servants accompany me as part of my dowry. My father went even further by sending a team of 36 shadow guards to protect me around the clock in shifts. Only after Qin Huai stormed out of the bridal chamber in a rage did I enter the room to check on Liu Cixi. Her head had likely been slammed against the wall multiple times by Qin Huai, leaving her not only bleeding profusely but also completely unconscious. I had the imperial physician accompanying me tend to Liu Cixi's wounds, then took 8 servants to confront Lady Qin. I had been looking forward to this day for a long time. Qin Huai was in his mother's room, cursing loudly, saying that the empress had assigned him a worn-out shoe, which was an insult to the ancestors of the Qin family. Of course, these words were also what I had arranged for someone to plant in his mind beforehand. Keep your voice down. Lady Qin's voice trembled with urgency. That matron Hua is the empress's person. If she hears you, it'll mean beheading. This old servant has already heard. I barged into Lady Qin's chamber with 8 attendants, pushing aside her matrons, maids, and servants. Lady Qin, the words this old servant just overheard are a crime punishable by the extermination of 9 generations. After all these years managing your household, you've allowed such treasonous speech to emerge from your residence, directly insulting Her Majesty. I truly break into a cold sweat on your behalf. As the dowry matron bestowed by the Empress, I spoke what should be said and what should not. Since I have heard of this matter, I cannot pretend to be unaware. According to palace regulations, the rebel should be immediately apprehended and reported to the Empress and the inner court. Madam, would you prefer to order the binding of this rebellious son and hand him over to me, or shall I send someone with the Empress's decree to summon a team of imperial guards to arrest him at your residence? Madam Qin was terrified by my words and broke down in tears, kneeling at my feet with her hands clasped together, pleading incessantly, "Matron, spare his life. Matron, please see clearly. Huaya has no idea what he's saying. He's having another episode of madness. I beg you not to take his ravings seriously. His father died fighting for the country. I beg you, matron, to consider that my late husband gave his life for the nation, leaving behind only this one descendant. Please show mercy. The Qin family must not be left without an heir. All the fault is mine. It's my failure in raising him, my negligence in watching over him. Punish me if you must, matron. I beg you to report to the Empress that I am willing to accept any punishment, only asking for Her Majesty's grace to spare his life." Thinking back to how this woman repeatedly interrupted my mother and father's intimate moments, causing my mother to leave home in anger and ultimately be separated from my father by life and death, I can't help but sigh with emotion. To lose to such a lowly person, my mother was far too polite. Alas, the lady has had her hardships as well. Very well, since Her Majesty the Empress is benevolent, this old servant is also unwilling to be too harsh. The young master suffers from a frenzied illness and speaks nonsense. It's not entirely beyond accommodation. I feigned compassion, though my heart was full of malice. However, this illness seems to be worsening, and ordinary methods are no longer effective. From today onward, we shall follow the palace's rules for dealing with madness. All matters of food, drink, and daily life will be taken over by the people I have brought. You, madam, should return to the northern frontier. I hear there is a very efficacious temple there. You may chant sutras and pray for your son's well-being. Unless necessary, do not return to see him again, I can assure you. The Qin family bloodline will not be cut off. This is the Emperor's will. I dare not defy it. Upon hearing this, Lady Qin quickly kowtowed in gratitude. After dealing with Lady Qin, I immediately had Lu Mingyuan and Liu Cixi thrown into the dungeon. I was considerate enough to give them a double room. Liu Cixi woke up to find herself in the same prison cell as Lu Mingyuan and immediately pointed at him, shouting angrily, "You persistent ghost, what have you done now to drag me into this?" Lu Mingyuan had long wanted to hit her, but he held back because she had been unconscious, thinking there was no point in whipping a corpse. Now, with Liu Cixi pointing at his nose and cursing him, how could he possibly hold back? He raised his hand and slapped her twice. Liu Cixi was struck so hard that she crashed into the wall, and having just regained consciousness, she fainted once again, still disguised as Granny Hua. I led my people into the cell, restrained Lu Mingyuan, and had someone splash water on Liu Cixi to wake her up. When Liu Cixi opened her eyes, I smiled and asked the two of them, "Do you know why you're in prison?" Liu Cixi muttered, "Isn't it just because I wasn't a virgin? Did the Qin family have to go this far?" She looked up at me pitifully, "Madam Hua, I beg you, please send word to my father and ask him to come rescue me quickly." "Fool," I kicked her to the ground and turned to look at Lu Mingyuan, "And you, why do you think you're in prison?" Lu Mingyuan remained silent, avoiding eye contact, clearly having guessed that the impersonation of the princess had been exposed. Only Liu Cixi was still shouting at me, "You're just the empress's lackey, how dare you hit me?" "The princess, someone, slap her face," I sneered coldly and raised my hand, putting on a face-changing act for them. The face I changed into was that of the guard Ruian. The two of them, upon seeing this, simultaneously recoiled, scrambling backward on all fours. I laughed heartily and raised my hand to change my face once more. This time, I revealed my true appearance. "Shen Qingli," the two exclaimed in unison, then both turned ashen-faced, neither daring to ask me what had happened. Fortunately, I'm a helpful person, so I took the initiative to tell them, surprised, shocked. "Wasn't I supposed to die at Blackwind Cliff? How come I'm standing right here?" "That's right, just as you thought, I, the princess, never went to Blackwind Cliff. Instead, I arrived in the capital before you and reunited with my father first." Lu Mingyuan and Liu Cixi collapsed to the ground together. There's no need for me to say more, they already know what awaits them, but I insist on making them understand clearly why they must die. "You two falsely claimed royal kinship, deceived the emperor, and defied the court. Your entire clan shall be executed, and your families beheaded." I let out a sigh, filled with pity. However, if Lady Zhong is willing to hang herself, I, the princess, might consider sparing Lu Xiaoya's life. I wonder if she would be willing. When she is escorted to the capital, I will personally ask her. Lu Xiaoya is Lu Mingyuan's youngest sister, only 3 years old, and very adorable. I couldn't bear to see her die. Lu Mingyuan stared at me fiercely, finally realizing that I had overheard his conversation with his mother, but he still didn't answer me. Because he had frightened himself into fainting, as I stepped out of the prison cell, the sunlight stung my eyes. Just as I was about to raise my hand to shield them, a paper parasol suddenly appeared over my head. Turning my head, I saw my father's kind smile, truly worthy of being my own daughter. "Well done, of course." I linked arms with my father and strode forward in the sunlight.